Hello and welcome to how to use this step node in a material. So I've created a new material and I've created the step node. Now the step node has two inputs and one output. And what it does is it takes an input and basically just says if the value is below this value, make it equal to 1. So for example, if I put in a gradient and do a linear gradient and plug that into the Y there, and then plug that into the base color. Let me just put this onto plain so you can see it. Now 1 means everything's going to be included. If I change it to 0.5, it now splits it in half. So it's a very quick way to do things like this sort of shape, these sort of things without using textures. Because every time you use a texture, it's a draw call. So if you can do it without a texture, try to. But you can use this number here to change it to whatever sort of shape you like so. Now this does have some nice side effects with some interesting textures you can want to use. So if I was to use a noise texture, like this, I could plug this into the step there, and we can make it like that sort of splotchy, potty, almost ink pattern style of scenery. And I change this value again, you'll see it'll change what's available to you. Now, being a value like this can be animated and it can be made a parameter. So, for example, you could make an easy health bar by using something like this, without using the progress bar or anything like that. If you want to use some sort of timer bar or anything like that as a material, you can do. In this step here, we're just going to put in a time and do a sine wave and plug that in. And you see this bar start animating it up and down. And that pauses because the sine wave is going between 1 and -1. So if I wanted it to stay above 1 and just bounce back and forth, all I have to do is just take this value and do abs. Now this is one way of doing it. We go back into there and you'll see it does a sort of a bounce effect, but you'll see when it gets to this end here, it's sort of snappy. And the reason why it's snappy is because the way a sine wave reacts when it gets to 0 is when it gets to 0, it bounces. It goes straight through. It doesn't like curve off. If you want it to be more smooth, you can easily do that. You just get rid of the abs, and we take the sine wave and we're going to add 1 to it. So you increase its height by 1. When I add 1 to the sine wave, it pushes the sine wave up by 1. So now before it was going between 1 and -1, now it's going between 2 and 0. So to get that back down between 1 and 0, I just need to divide this by 2. And now we have a much smoother bar that goes up and down. Applying this to our other shapes too, we can do this with our texture samples. I'll put that in a texture sample instead. And you can do some interesting like dissolve effects and other things like that by using this step node. Keep in mind, we're just doing it with just a color. If you want to do it like with opacity as well, you can change to masked and put that in opacity. And you get this dissolving effect where the thing will disappear. And if you don't want it to disappear and want it to transform into another texture, we can use this as a mask. So if I add 2 textures, and we'll change this to be grass, and this one to be rock. We can use this in a lerp node. Then we interpolate, plug in our 2 textures into A and B, and then plug our step value into the alpha. Now you'll see a mask happening where it transforms from one to the other. So there you go, that's the step node. If you like this how-to or want to see more of how-to videos before anyone else, head to patreon.com/RyanLady. You can find all my videos early before anyone else from just $1 a month, plus many other benefits too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.